What's up, everybody? Hope you've had a great 4th of July weekend. This is Drew Page, and in this video, we are going to break down Season 2, Episode 8 of Undercover Billionaire, featuring Elaine Culotti. Let's go.
They're going undercover in cities they've never been to, with only $100, a cell phone with no contacts, and an old truck. All they'll have are the business principles they've used to become successful. At the end of 90 days, all three businesses will be independently evaluated.
If it's a penny short of $1 million, I'll put in $1 million.
You know the drill. Each of our investors have 90 days to turn $100 into $1 million business with nothing but a contactless cell phone and an old pickup truck. If you haven't gotten caught up on all of my Undercover Billionaire analysis, you can click on the Undercover Billionaire playlist in the description below. While you're there, please subscribe to my channel and like this video to help with the algorithm to get this content out to more people looking for it. And if you really want to help me out, you can get a copy of my book, The Right Defense for a Traffic Offense in Virginia. Well, Elaine has had some bumps over the last couple episodes. She lost an investor and she missed out on some other opportunities. So let's see if this week she can make some adjustments to help send her in the right direction for her $1 million business idea at Shep's Club.
And what I need to do is use the rest of my time very carefully to get the 11,000 square foot Shepherd's Inn completely remodeled. It's going to take an impossible amount of work to get all of my revenue streams up and running. I like to call them tranches. The 24 rooms upstairs have to be completely remodeled for all of us who live here and for future hotel guests. Amanda's to-go bar has to be built out so that she can serve alcohol. The dining room transformed into a fully operational grocery store. I've got to convert the old garage into a really cute coffee shop, and I'm going to convert the original dark bar into a really bright, super booming deli. So that means I've got to get the refrigeration equipment for the deli and the grocery store here as soon as possible, and I need to hire a real contractor.
So Elaine has set her goals out. She has to get refrigeration equipment and a real contractor to help her with her project. I wanted to include the visual model of the building so you can kind of get a review of what it is she's trying to accomplish at the Shep's Club. So she's got the hotel up top, she's got the grocery store, the bar, and then a coffee shop is kind of her combined plan for the Shep's Club. So let's see how she works to achieving those goals in this episode.
We have to be tight as a team. Really thinking about what are your objectives? How are you going to get there? How are you going to avoid every obstacle or go through it? What is going to come up? What is not going to come up? What's unexpected? It's like, that takes concentration. He's not doing that. And then I want to take his head off of his shoulders and kind of get a really good hold between the nose and the mouth and pull him down the alleyway.
No big surprise there. She's upset at Chris. But she does make a really good point about what you have to do when you're working with a team of people, whether it's employees, partners, or whatever. You've got to make sure everybody understands their job description. Make sure people are in their lane and accomplishing the goals that you have assigned for them. If somebody is dragging in their area, then it's going to bring the entire team down. When Chris hasn't come through with the refrigeration equipment, it drags the rest of the team down. They can't complete the deli. They can't complete other things that need to be done because one person isn't focusing in and getting their job done. So as a business manager, partner, owner, even just a team member, you have to make sure everybody knows what they're responsible for and they're getting their job done. And if you don't, it's just going to kill morale and it's going to make everything else slower.
Normally, I would get 3 bids. There's no time for that here. I've given them a laundry list that made their heads spin. I'm quite certain. I'm hoping because they're Russell's friends that they take the project, period. I think they're a little freaked out. So, okay?
Oh, I think we can make it happen. I think this is the hardest one out of all of them.
I think we might take this project on. I've known Russ a long time. He doesn't ask for favors very often, actually never. He asked, so I came. We like the Shepherd's Inn. We want to see it become something different. And I think the ideas that she has in mind for this place are on track to be successful.
Elaine looks out on the contractor front. Russell gets his friend Dave and his partner to come in, and Elaine shows him all of the different tranches in the Shep's Club, and while they clearly appear even overwhelmed just with hearing everything, they agree to take it on out of their friendship for Russell. So check the box for Elaine here on being able to get one of her goals accomplished. Now the focus is on Chris getting the refrigeration equipment in that he said he was going to get in a week ago. So we'll keep tabs on that as we go through.
And the lease changes that whole dynamic.
If someone was able to come in, pay me a generous amount of rent every month, I wouldn't care what they did with the building. But it would have to be long-term lease.
What that does is that gives Russell passive income. That gives him security that I'm in it for the long haul and that he can count on money that's going to come in every month no matter what. How did you get a copy of it? Did you download it off of
The thing that was sent to me, I pushed print in my
I
house.
tried to push print here. You guys didn't have the cord.
Well, anyways, here is a copy of it.
It's really important to me that I get this done because it also helps me shore up the longevity of the business because it's a long-term lease. Just so we're clear, this is where the Shepherd's Inn, so the 11,000 square foot brick and mortar structure, so the hotel, the deli, the kitchen, and the grocery store
building,
is just for the building itself. And the terms are $10,000 a month starting in January. The free rent is the time in between now and January 1. Delay when you pay. I don't have any money and I cannot afford rent on this building. In signing this lease, it means I can pay Russell. Once we start making money, he starts getting rent. Commercial leasing is completely different than renting a home. There's all kinds of commercial leases, but this is not uncommon at all. When you don't have cash on hand, always negotiate paying later.
Okay.
And when the lease terminates, it has options to renew. The reason I did a 5-year lease 3 times, that guarantees the Stone family $120,000 a year for the first 5 years, the second 5 years, and the third 5 years. Being in business is risky. Crossing the street's not 100% safe. I mean, driving a car is not 100%. Nothing's 100% safe. What are you risking? Money? You can't make it the object. It's not the object. It's the reward. So to get to that reward, you have to put something into it. You have to take calculated risks.
Okay, there was a lot there in that one scene. So let's break down several things that we saw. That first, the official principle was delay when you pay, but that's actually a principle that was given to us in the first couple of episodes from Elaine. So again, just like I've said with Grant Cardone's videos, it seems like the producers are starting to get a little lazy there in using the same principles. I mean, if you're going to use the same ones, you may as well just not use them. I mean, there's no point to having this separate little forced segment every single time if you're going to use the same thing. I mean, what are we learning new here? I mean, that delay when you pay. I mean, obviously that's something that's been pretty applicable to everybody. It's kind of like Elaine's version of Grant Cardone's money follows attention. I mean, it's just the same thing. So pretty disappointed in that, but you know, we'll move on from that. What was important though was what Elaine noted as the importance of having a commercial lease. She enters into a long-term 5-year lease where Russell's family would be able to get $120,000 a year once the payments start to begin that January, since she's delaying when she pays. And any time that you are in a lease relationship, make sure that you get a lease. Don't just have like a handshake agreement or verbal agreement, because at some point when there's a breakdown, if there's a breakdown and all the terms aren't spelled out, it's going to cost you so much more in litigation than it would for you to hire an attorney to draft a cheap lease. So again, make sure that you have a lease, whether you're the landlord or the tenant. Make sure all the terms are spelled out, the duration, what area. You heard her say, so just to be clear, this is the 11,000 square foot, the entire building, each of the objects, and I'm just paying you rent so that I can run every aspect of this store. I'm not having to pay you any extras. So she's got the terms, they've got the price, they've got the duration. Everything is in the lease, so there's no confusion. And so make sure if you're entering into a lease relationship, you get it in writing. And then finally, the other thing that was important in this particular segment was the idea of being willing to take calculated risks. You know, people hate on the evil rich and how the rich get richer and do all these things. And that's because they are willing to take risks for investment that most people aren't willing to do. You know, a lot of the people that are upset about that want just, you know, government handouts and want people to give them things, but they don't want to risk anything. Oh, I can't afford to put money in this, or I can't risk, you know, putting stuff in the stock market. It's too risky. I can't get an investment property. It's too risky. Well, you've got to be willing to take calculated risk so that you can get a return. You know, it's kind of like people who expect the owners to divvy out their profits. Like, owners aren't supposed to make a profit, but owners are the ones who are taking a risk. If a business shuts down, the employees can still go out and get another job. But if an owner has debt on a business and they've got bills due on the business, they're still stuck with the debts. They're still stuck with the bills, even though the employees can just walk away. So you should reward risk. Risk should be rewarded. And if you're making risks, you are more likely to be rewarded. Now, does everything always work out? Of course not. That's why it is a risk. But as long as it's a calculated, educated risk, you should experience some long-term gain from that. And that's what Elaine is talking about here, and something we should keep in mind rather than complaining about the rich getting richer.
Anytime you start to vibrate and shake something, you're going to have things that should have been fixed come apart. And if the ceiling were to fall down, it would destroy everything in the kitchen and probably put anybody in there in the hospital. The most important thing to me is that nobody gets hurt. Nice little tiny itty baby warning. And there was no one in there when it happened. Thank God. No one's taking it seriously. That's the whole ceiling.
No,
That's
that's
for
bad.
sure all the way
That's
over there.
bad.
Let's get everything out of here and cover everything. Dave and Alan figured out what the problem was and they fixed it upstairs. And basically, this is going to be a reverse shoring installation, which will save us from having to take the whole ceiling out. Essentially, what we're going to do is run 2x4s across and then support them laterally so that the ceiling is supported. It's a really good plan, and it's the only way we can afford to do it.
That's an important point for anybody who's engaged in real estate investment, anyone who does renovations. When you're moving things around, there's always going to be that one thing more. Meet Kevin, who's a pretty famous YouTuber, has mentioned that when he goes in to buy an investment property, he very rarely disturbs just about anything, because there's always one more thing that can be done, and it's going to end up costing you so much money. But here in this instance, where there's all the renovation going upstairs, it leads to the ceiling falling down. So you need to be prepared mentally and emotionally for renovation projects to come up as you're purchasing real estate. I know that I've bought several real estate investment properties, primarily rental houses, and as things have been worked on, then there's always that one more thing, and it can get really aggravating and really frustrating. But if you keep the long-term investment in mind, knowing that ultimately you'll make some money out of it, and stick it out, then you'll be fine. But don't go into a project thinking that everything's going to go perfectly. There's always going to be some problems, and you need to prepare yourself to be able to handle them without losing your mind.
Perfect. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Thank you. Chris has an uncanny ability to make you feel like he's got everything under control, and then he tells you that he's getting it done when he has no plan to get it done. And this is very frustrating. It's extremely frustrating. Okay, thank you. Bye.
All right, we're good.
Oh, what a relief.
All right, Kenny and I are going to haul garbage.
Reward exceptional, not average. I have a very long history of being underwhelmed. If someone exceeds expectations, that's when you get a cookie. We would all be running around giving people praise for not getting anything done. And some people work like that because people have brought them up that way. But it doesn't work in the real world. If you hire somebody, you're hiring them to do a job. If they don't do the job, they get fired. And if they do the job, they get paid. Now, if someone does more than that scope of work and exceeds what you've given them in terms of the trade value, that's when you get the attaboy.
Wow, that is so true, and yet so countercultural today, where everybody expects the owners to just give more money. Oh, I deserve a raise. Well, what are you doing more now than you were doing yesterday? Well, nothing. Okay, so we're supposed to just give you more money just to give you more money? No, you reward the exceptional, not the average. Chris has finally done his job, and he wants a pat on the back, but she's not going to give it to him because that was your job. And not only that, but it took you a long time to get your job done. I mean, you're not going to get, she's not giving him praise for doing his job, especially when it took a long period of time. And she says that if somebody steps up and does more than what's expected, that's when you get the attaboy or the cookie, as she says. But man, in this participation trophy society that we're in today, that is so just beyond what people even think about today. Everybody thinks they deserve something. Somebody owes them something. No, nobody owes you anything. And when you get a job, you're paid to do the job that the owner is paying you to do. And if you do more than what the owner expects, then you could possibly be expecting to get a raise. But if you're not doing more than what's expected, why the heck do you think you deserve more than what you're getting now? And you know, if you want to advance, if you want to do more, then you need to do above and beyond, and not just be satisfied with mediocrity. And unfortunately, we're in a mediocrity culture right now. So I hope you're the exception. I believe because you're watching this channel, you probably are. But maybe for those people who you know that are always expecting a handout rather than being willing to put in the extra work to get more, maybe you can share this with them. What do you think? Put in the comments. Do you think that maybe we should just expect owners to give employees more money just for existing? Or do you think that it's fair for owners to expect people to do exceptional work in order to get exceptional pay?
Chris bought equipment that doesn't fit. Honestly, he must have measured it incorrectly. These units are not returnable, so somehow I've got to make it work. I'm not sure if we can get smaller casters. I don't know if we can lower them some other way, maybe just take the bottom off. At this point, what I need to do is solve the problem. You need about 1.5 to 2 inches to get under there. I just need to figure it out, okay, to make sure they're going to fit. And then, so you need a little bit of space, you know. Chris is my right-hand person, and I cannot solve all problems on my own, but he does not understand schedule. He literally gets out of his lane and completely forgets what the other hand was doing. It's driving me crazy. This not having stuff is really seriously bad. I can deal with the budget, I can deal with a lot of things, but the hiccups, the not doing what you said you were going to do, have huge consequences, and I cannot afford to be slowed down like this.
Well, Cookie Boy did it again. He, after telling Elaine that everything's been ordered and everything's good to go, he mismeasured and didn't consider the height of the bar. And so now Elaine's behind again, and she's going to have to figure out some way to be able to get the new equipment underneath because the refrigeration equipment is not returnable. So again, you can't just slough through your job and just say, forget about it, who cares? You have a responsibility to the person that you have aligned yourself with. And you can't just say, screw it, whatever. It's no big deal because it's not my business. People are counting on you. Let me just tell you, as a owner of a law firm, I count on my employees to do their job. And that's why I pay them a good amount of money to be able to make sure they do their job. And if they don't do it, I mean, I try to explain to them when they have difficulties, and I do it, lovingly and respectfully. But I pay you to make my job easier, not harder. And here, Chris is making Elaine's job way harder than it needs to be. So it'll be interesting to see how Elaine helps push Chris to be a better manager and a better worker for the Sheps Club throughout. So let's keep an eye on that and see if she can manage people as well as she can manage projects. Again, my name is Drew Page. Please subscribe to my channel and like this video to help with the algorithm. If you want to get caught up on all of my Undercover Billionaire analysis, please click on the Undercover Billionaire playlist in the description below. You can also get a copy of my book, The Right Defense for a Traffic Offense in Virginia. And until next time, stay tuned.